What is going on, everyone? I hope you are having a great day. Today I'm going to be reacting to a new American video. So I will be reacting to the 10 worst cities in America by World According to Briggs. So this will be quite a contrast in comparison to what we have seen a couple of days ago, what I saw a couple of days ago with the 10 richest states in America. So here it's going to be quite a shock, I guess, in comparison to what we saw before, and I hope you will be enjoying this video. And as usual, I will be showing my honest thoughts. I will still clarify, I'm quite passionate about geography and knowing how how the geography is for each country in the world, and particularly the United States. So I know already quite some stuff, but obviously not all, so you will have to tell me in the comments. And by the way, yeah, tell me in the comments also if I make some big mistakes with my terrible French accent. I think in the last video it was like Massachusetts. It's pretty hard to say when you are not a native American or English, I guess. So yeah, just tell me in the comments. Let's get started.
Watch my top 10 worst cities in America for 2019.
Top 10 worst cities in America.
Number 10, Albuquerque, New Mexico. To me, Albuquerque has always looked like the primary filming location for the next Quentin Tarantino movie. If you Google Albuquerque, then select the news tab, it paints a picture of the city nobody...
Oh, damn. This looks really bad. Oh, man. I'm sorry if you live here, but... gosh. For someone who comes from a European country like France, oh man, it's so depressing to see something like this.
A movie. If you Google Albuquerque, they have a strange amount of bodies being found around this city. It's really weird. It has 500,000 residents, and if you look at all the crime reports, you'd think someone is in fact playing out a real-life Tarantino movie. With that many people...
500,000 residents? Man, 500,000 residents, and they have like a city center looking like this. It's so sad. It's so sad.
Wonder there's so much crime. There's nearly 9,000 crimes reported for every 100,000 residents. That's 218% higher.
9,000 crimes for every 100,000 citizens. 9%. So basically every year you have a 1 in 10 chances to get victim of a crime. This is truly unthinkable off in Europe.
The national average. While in the city, you have about a 1 in 12 chance of being involved in a crime. Albuquerque was incorporated in 1891 and is the most populous city in New Mexico. On the plus side, it has the Rio Grande River running right through the middle of town, and it's also home to my favorite news reporter, Allison Martinez.
Okay.
Number 9, Shreveport, Louisiana. Shreveport is like the forgotten kid nobody ever talks about when it comes...
Well, this looks actually pretty cool. I like the mix of architecture. This rather early 20th century mixed with more modern 60s building. I think that's pretty dope. I like this a lot more than I must say the Albuquerque city center. And yeah, just seen from this, it could seem like a pretty lively city, but
Louisiana. Everybody always hears about New Orleans and say Baton Rouge. Well, mostly New Orleans. But if you're not from the area, you really don't ever think or hear about Shreveport. You only go to Shreveport if you have a court date or you want to go someplace that's hot and humid like a tropical island.
Never heard about this place too.
But you don't want to be near the ocean, you know, or the ocean breeze. Hot and humid like a tropical island, but you don't want to be near the ocean, you know, or the ocean breeze or anything like that. It's normally in the 90s from May to September and really doesn't get below the 70s until maybe December, January, and February. The poverty level in Shreveport is 69% higher than the national average. Good going, Shreveport. Shreveport has just under 200,000 residents and...
200,000 residents? But wait. I don't know, but this skyline might seem like it's pretty well it's pretty big for a 200,000 inhabitant city as compared to Albuquerque, which seemed to have a smaller skyline, less extensive skyline. So it's pretty well done for a city like Shreveport, but it's obviously a pretty bad city, so yeah, the skyline and like the architecture doesn't mean everything, that's for sure.
All of these residents, they got a 1 in 14 chance of being involved in a crime every year.
Crime is
Cities
lower.
only safer than 2% of the cities in this country. The overall crime rate is 148% higher than the national average, and on top of all that city sweetness, you have a pollution index that makes most environmentalists cry at night. Shreveport was incorporated in 1839. Number 8, Albany, Georgia. About 2 hours away from where I did basic training in Fort Benning, Georgia, you have Albany, Georgia, or Albany, Georgia.
Never heard about this place. I guess it's a pretty small city.
Whichever you want to call it. This little slice of depression could be a great place to learn how to live in poverty. They have about 30,000 residents that I'm sure would be more than willing to teach you how to do it, because they're experts. This town has been poor for a very long time. Of course, it's probably going to cost you a couple bucks and they only take cash. They're having some problems with their bank. Albany has a population of 75,000 people, and I would guess 65,000 of them would probably love to move at any time. Housing prices here are extremely low, and there's a reason for that. Albany sucks and nobody wants to live here. This place has vacant homes with boarded up windows on most blocks, and I'm not even joking about that. Homes here go for about $89,000. That's dirt cheap, and that's 49% lower than the national average.
That's really freaking cheap. That would never exist in Europe. Like, I can't say in Europe, but in most of France at least, you won't have cities where like the average price for a home would be like under 100,000 euros. So 100,000 euros is basically like $130,000, I assume, something like this. Maybe a little less, I don't know, but this is really inexpensive.
The poverty level here is 120% higher than the national average, and the crime rate is 146% higher than the national average. Albany was incorporated in 1838, and most people feel this was a really bad move. Number 7, Homestead, Florida. Homestead is another one of those smaller cities with a bad reputation. They only have about 65,000 residents. This one could almost make the list on pollution alone. But not wanting to be a second-rate horrible town, they turn in a not-so-good crime rate that's 70% higher than the national average, and only about 69% of their residents actually graduated high school. The low population comes in at no surprise. Unemployment here is pretty horrible. The income per capita is about $17,000 a year. The unemployment rate is about 6% right now, as well as 30% of the residents living in poverty. That's 90% higher than that.
This is really low. Those are really bad numbers, I must say. The city doesn't look like too bad like this. I mean, there are lots of beautiful palm trees and nice architecture, but I guess mostly unused buildings, so yeah, falling apart slowly.
A little weird. They have a jet fighter and a farmer on a tractor with some palm trees. Kind of weird looking. Now, I get why it's there. They have a lot of farming outside of Homestead, and there's an Air Force base there too, so stop typing. I get it, but it's just a weird combination. Homestead was incorporated in 1913 and is known as the gateway to the Everglades. And if you've been there, kind of wish the Everglades would swallow it up at some point. Number 6, Little Rock, Arkansas. Little Rock is in Arkansas, so that should be your first indicator that there's a lot wrong here.
This is quite a tall building. That surprises me. Like, to have such a tall building in an unknown place. Like, I've barely even heard of Arkansas and Little Rock, so it's surprising that they have a tall building like this. I guess it's like at least 150 meters high. It's pretty tall.
Most people know about Arkansas is there's a bunch of
Surprises
jokes
me.
told about this state that always end with some reference to marrying a close relative. Little Rock is the capital and most populous city of this less than normal U.S. state. The schools in the city aren't setting any scholastic records. The average school test score in Little Rock is 46% lower than the national average. Little Rock has just under 200,000 residents and the worst crime rate in Arkansas. The city has about 10,000 crimes per every 100,000 residents. Yeah, you heard me right. That's 212% higher than the national average.
200%.
Than only 1% of the other cities in this country. Yeah, not really good. Little Rock was incorporated into a town in 1831.
This is a bad place.
Later incorporated into a city. Number 5, Baltimore, Maryland. Unless you've been living in a
Baltimore.
bunker with zero outside contact for like 50 years or so, you know Baltimore isn't the great city it
Yeah.
once was when Edgar Allan Poe walked the streets of Baltimore and wrote The Raven. Actually, it might not have been that good back then either. He either drank himself to death or he was poisoned. All the records have since been lost, but who knows? He did yell out the name Reynolds all night the night he died, so they're not...
The thing with Baltimore is like they have lots of beautiful architecture. I've seen in a couple of videos about it, but yeah, it's such a dangerous and impoverished place, so it's definitely not a place you want to be in or live in, unfortunately, because it seems like there are lots of great places in this town.
Poisoned him or whatever. Anyway, they say born in Boston, but since he married his 13-year-old cousin, I'm thinking it was Little Rock. I could be wrong. Modern-day Baltimore.
What? Wait, Edgar Allan Poe is from Baltimore? I would have thought it was like British or something like this. And him, man, what the? He married his 13-year-old cousin. What is this? What is even this?
Is home to about 620,000 residents. Every day, these residents have a 1 in 15 chance of being involved in a crime. The overall crime rate is 153% higher than the national average, with about 45,000 crimes being reported annually. And considering 40% of
okay, so it's still lower than Little Rock in Arkansas.
The average school test score is 59% lower. Number 4, Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, Tennessee is the worst city in the entire state when it comes to crime and pollution, and their unemployment and education numbers kind of below too. It's like they're trying to come in last place.
They have a tram at least. They have a small tramway. That's cool. That gotta be cool. But yeah, I've known quite a lot of quite bad stuff about Memphis. So yeah, I guess it's pretty bad as well.
This city has about 650,000 residents, and the crime rate is about 202% higher than the national average.
600,000?
34 violent crimes reported in this city every single day. Memphis is safer than only 1% of the cities in this country. The poverty level in Memphis is 83% higher than the national average. Here's a piece of advice about Memphis: don't go here. Number 3, St. Louis, Missouri, and Illinois.
Wow, that's bad.
Okay, so one
St.
is
Louis?
St. Louis and the other one is East St. Louis. They're just across the river from each other, and they both suck. St. Louis, Missouri is located right on the Illinois-Missouri border and is the second largest city in the state with just 310,000 residents. And it's one of the most moved out of cities in the...
They have a quite cool skyline though. Lots of skyscrapers, and like it seems like it's going quite deep. Like you have buildings. The thing with American cities is often you have a small concentration of buildings on like a couple of streets in the city center, and then everything is just small houses and yeah, small warehouses, houses, and like old stockyards and stuff like this. But here it's quite surprising. It seems like they have apartment buildings and like yeah, kind of tall buildings extending quite far outside this main skyscraper area. So this is really surprising. Like it reminds me what you would see in Manhattan, but in like to a lesser extent. But yeah, somewhat that's surprising.
Residents, employment isn't good, but it's not terrible. It's at 5%. So while it's not impossible to find a job here, it is hard finding a decent job since the poverty level is 27%. I did a video.
Yeah, lots of buildings.
Surprising. How the city lost 2 football teams, the Cardinals and the Rams, and the Village Idiots.
Oh, the Cardinals. I'm quite unknown with like American football, but yeah, I know there's this thing with like moving teams from places. I don't exactly know why. Maybe it's because some places have a higher demand for football matches or something like this. But I know the Cardinals now, they are in Arizona, I think, in Phoenix. So okay, I didn't know they were from St. Louis originally. So cool to know.
Out to play in the comment section. I guess none of them knew anything happened before they were born. They just we still have the Cardinals. They play baseball. You don't even know what sport the Cardinals play.
Oh, they play baseball? Wait. Okay. Now I'm
went on and
mind blown.
on and on.
I'm quite mind blown because I thought it was a football team. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't know. But I thought like yeah, maybe they are both baseball and football teams. I don't know.
We just lost the Rams. What are you talking about? It was weird. Anyway, in case any of you left those comments.
Okay, so I was right, and yeah, so they both had a baseball team and a football team called the Cardinals, and like the football team moved to Arizona, but the baseball team stayed. Okay, so now I'm not confused anymore, so that's cool.
Recently, the Rams skipped town on you, and that's it in a nutshell. Again, congratulations,
Detroit.
You're not number one anymore. Considering how far ahead of the pack you were at sucking, you've done great. Detroit has been on a downward slide for decades, but
Yeah.
it seems to be turning the corner. Okay, maybe they aren't turning the corner yet, but put it this way: if they had a land navigation system on Detroit like we have on our cars,
I don't know, man, but Detroit is really weird. But yeah, it's because of all the people and businesses moving out, of course, of the town. But so many like empty spots everywhere, and like no skyscrapers, and buildings are often close to falling apart. But apparently they are slowly like retaking, remaking like the old skyscrapers again, and selling them again to new companies. But like, yeah, it's crumbling down, man. It's sad. It's sad. But yeah, there are these 5 towers. I think 4 like cylindric towers and 1 big towers in the middle. They are like the General Motors headquarters, I think. I must admit, I think it's pretty weird to build like 5 huge towers like this. I don't know. I think it's pretty weird, but I know quite a lot of people like them, so I won't say no more about them.
And reasons that contributed to the downfall, but manufacturing, more specifically the auto industry's manufacturing, sort of left this town high and dry. Now, there are some jobs left, but it's nothing close to what it once was. Detroit has sort of been doing this revitalization thing downtown, and in recent years it's starting to catch on and sort of spread throughout the city. But they got a very long way to go. That's why they're number 2 and no longer number 1. Detroit had just under 2 million residents in 1950, and now they sit at about 675,000
Yeah,
residents.
this is really sad. Imagine that's like if Paris went from like 2 million people right now, from like 2 to 3 million people right now, down to like 800,000, something like this. Man, this is just sad. If it happened to Paris, it would be like, I don't know what would happen. It would be so weird. And like here in Detroit, we have lots of beautiful homes like this, which are just like run down now. It's sad.
It's kind of a drop.
Really sad and weird.
This city was. The income per capita is only $15,000, making the median household income
$15,000. How can you even live on that? Oh, that's terrible. Terrible. Like, how can such a big city and like, which has like a lot of big companies and good jobs, I guess, how can it be so poor and destroyed and run down? In Europe, even cities in like the far eastern Europe, like Ukraine or what is it called? Belarus, sorry, yeah, Belarus. Like even in those places, cities are far from being like Detroit. So yeah, it's really weird. But yeah, Detroit is still maybe richer than Ukraine cities, because Ukraine is pretty poor, but at least it doesn't look like as run down.
The median household income was only $23,000, so they're making some progress. Crime is down.
That's good to hear.
Schools are getting better. Things are looking up, but like I said, they're number 2 because they're still in bad shape. There is progress. There is hope.
Number 1.
Delaware. Congratulations, Wilmington, you made
Okay.
it to #1. Wilmington, Delaware has the worst crime rate in the whole state and one of the highest in the country. For every 100,000 residents, there's about 5,000 crimes reported. That's 140.
Oh, this is an impressive building.
National average. This equals out to being roughly 20 violent crimes.
Man, what? I must admit, it
49% higher than the
looks
national
kinda
average.
nice, this place. Like a small promenade and people just like running on it, and kinda cool skyline.
This
I don't know
equals
what
out to being roughly
will be
20
wrong
violent
with this
crimes
place. We'll
reported
see.
per day in the city. Now, their crime rate isn't as bad as some of the other cities on this list, but their violent crime rate is outrageous. This place is like the Wild West on steroids.
Okay.
I went to a Catholic school until high school. I learned about this place called Purgatory. Purgatory is where you go to pay for your sins before they let you into heaven. Wilmington reminds me of what Purgatory is, or should be. It's weird. This place is not a place you want to move to. It's like a place you're going to pay a debt to society or something like that. Kind of like a prison. It's bad. Wilmington has bad schools, extreme poverty, and houses that, if they haven't been boarded up for a decade or so, they haven't seen repairs or a coat of paint in just as long. Wilmington, Delaware was incorporated in 1731. It is the worst city in the United States for 2019. All right, so that's your top 10 worst cities in America.
Okay, so Wilmington in Delaware was the worst place. The worst cities in America are really wild when you compare them to the worst cities in Europe. Like, even in the poorest countries in Europe, it never comes nearly as bad as what you get in America. It's sad, and it's weird to see places like this in such a wealthy and rich country, as we saw just before in the richest states reaction video. So this is really surprising, and yeah, it's weird, because the thing with America is that it's a country that is still growing and becoming richer and richer every year. So yeah, this is I don't understand it. I don't get it. So this was my honest reaction to the top 10 worst cities in America by World According to Bricks. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and like yeah, please subscribe if you enjoyed and want to see more. And yeah, go check my video on the top 10 richest states in America, and also my reaction video on Jakarta against Delhi, which is quite a different topic but also quite interesting. So thanks you very much for watching, and see you soon.